Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Chasm for the second time, probably the second of 3 times. Actually, Chasm is an upcoming, recently kickstarted 2D Metroidvania-esque, Castlevania-esque action-adventure slash platformer. That's a whole lot of genre monikers. It's much easier to kind of just see what's going on and then know what it is for yourself than to explain it on paper. Although it's similar to a lot of those games that I mentioned before. This is actually coming out this summer, but the guys and girls at Discord Games were nice enough to send me the build that they actually showed off at MagFest in Rhode Island, I think, in early January. So I'm going to be playing this through. It's about 20 minutes to a half hour long, and it's real freaking hard, so we get to enter our name here at the start of it. Very reminiscent of, you know, like side-scrolling Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and even like PS1 era, if you think of things like Symphony of the Night style games. So after years of battle in a distant land, you have received a mysterious letter. The contents are strange and vague. Dongers, everyone and everything you have ever known is in great danger. Come home at once. At first you try to ignore it and shrug it off. Eventually you abandon your post and set out into the wilderness. 3 days into your journey, you enter the remote mining town of Carthus as an ominous chill overcomes you. I should note before we start here, this is still work in progress. This is not a game that is actually out yet, and it's not available for purchase, but it is available for pre-order over at chasmgame.com. So this is not representative necessarily of the final product. By the way, probably my favorite loading screen that I've ever seen. Not only is it pretty, but also very short. So, as we move into Carthus here, I want to talk very quickly about the controls before we get involved in too much else. It's got RPG elements as well, which I didn't really talk about. We are playing as Dongers here. You can name him whatever you want, obviously. And very simple controls. We can duck, we can jump, and we can use our melee attack with the X button on the Xbox 360 controller, which is what I'm playing with right now. And later we will have some magic as well. So we are entering into the town here. This is kind of like a hub world for us. We can talk to people. This lady is a vendor that has potions, spells, and magic items for sale. We can buy them. We don't really have very much money right now, though. Now, it might be reminding you a little bit of something even along the lines of SteamWorld Dig right now, because if we wanted to, we actually could go down into the mines, which is like this area right here. This is where the gameplay is going to take place, is right in here. And we could start killing enemies and grinding for a little bit of gold, and then we could come up and buy things. That would give us a much better chance of success. But I've been playing it much more like a Metroidvania so far. So, there are a couple of things that we're going to need to get in this town before we proceed. First thing you're going to notice about Chasm, quite obviously, is the visual style. I think this is a really gorgeous looking game that kind of harkens back to those games that I mentioned earlier without being too derivative of their style, and also the animation in particular, not just like the sprite quality or the art quality. The animation is really nice as well, and you'll see this in particular with little things like, you know, the way this lady's bouncing up and down. It's kind of like, you know, maybe Team Ninja worked on the physics here. But also, there's like really cool kind of dynamic movement on things like platforms. So when we get down into the mines, I'll try to remember to talk about that. So, first things first, we're going to open up this chest, and we're going to take some things from our locker. I guess this is where we used to live. Now, if we look at our items, you can see we've got a mysterious letter. This is what warned us of the danger. We've got 2 apples and some bread. These are going to be HP, and we can equip ourselves with that bandana that we got. Another thing that I really like about the game is that it's very clear when you're using equipment what goes up and what comes down. So this just raises our defense by 1, so there's no reason not to take it. Now, I played Chasm a little earlier, back in the summer of 2013, and I liked it, but it was still very much a, like, work-in-progress-y type, just kind of like, or a proof of concept, I guess I should say, where you went down into the mines, and basically you fought some enemies, and eventually you kind of meandered your way to a boss fight that you couldn't even fight in. This has made some marked improvements over that. There's actually some puzzles involved, and some serious, like, platforming as well, instead of just hacking bats and rats up, so hopefully you're looking forward to seeing that. So this old man was asleep, but by ringing this bell, we can talk to him. He says, "Welcome to Carthus, friend. Unfortunately, you've arrived at a bad time. 2 days ago, the miners never returned after their shift. Then that stranger showed up. I've tried to go for help, but I can't explain it. I just keep walking in circles. There were rumors of her discovery down in the mines before the miners disappeared. Given the situation up here, your only option is to head into the mines and investigate. Before you go, take this ring. It's been in my family for generations. Hopefully, it will be of use to you. Now be careful and report back if you find anything." So we got the lion ring there. How fitting. And we can go equip that. So that's going to give us +1 strength, +1 attack. Sorry, no, +1 strength, +1 melee attack, and +1 magic attack. So this is a really good ring for us to get, actually. And we will head down into the mines and start actually getting involved in the gameplay of Chasm. So, what I really like about this demo version as well is that, unlike the build that I played last summer, or, you know, the summer that has previously passed, this actually has kind of like gates associated with it. It's got locked doors, it's got, you know, not physics-based, but it's got gated mechanisms, and we can only progress if we've actually solved kind of like the puzzle or gotten the item that makes it necessary to get through that gated mechanism. So as you saw, there was a gate back there. Now we can go hit this switch. If I remember correctly, switches were not in the last build. And this adds another level of depth beyond just like constantly hacking and slashing enemies that makes it feel much more like a complete product, even though it's still in development as we speak. And I think I mentioned this, but this is planned for release in the summer of 2014. And let me look at my map here because I want to see where we're supposed to go. This is kind of like the very earliest puzzle that I've encountered in this version of the game. And we get a health potion, which is going to be extremely important. This game is actually really, really hard. I've gotten to the boss a couple of times, but I've never beaten him. Hopefully this is the video that kind of bucks that trend. And you know why it's hard? It's not like, you know, Spelunky where you die in a couple of hits. You much more get ground down by the enemies that you come across. So you have to be ever vigilant to make sure that you don't get killed by them. In any case, there was a rat in there as well. So we're picking up some gold. Every time we kill enemies, we're also getting experience. That is the white bar that is between our health and mana there. You might be wondering, what do you do with mana? Well, you need to get what we just got there, which was the Book of... that's not where I want to equip it here. Book of Blades. And the Book of Blades is basically a magic spell that allows us to summon a knife, like so. There you go. So it takes a lot of our mana. We can only do maybe 6 or 7 of those attacks before we find ourselves in a bad place from a mana perspective. But it's really useful to take out enemies like bats and worms and enemies at a distance that are otherwise going to be very annoying to you. So this is what the games, or the demos at least, because I don't know if this is actually going to make it into the final game, but this is the demo's way of kind of introducing you to the fact that, okay, we're going to have to gather some items. The puzzles are pretty rudimentary, but that's okay. It's not like this is meant to be something like The Cave or, you know, God forbid, a point-and-click adventure game. Not God forbid like that's a bad thing. Just God forbid it, like, you know, it doesn't focus on that. So we're going to get into a lot of combat as we go here. I just want to take a look at my map. I remember where things are, but we are probably going to have to explore the entirety of the mines in order to find the boss room. And we're also going to find a, again, Metroidvania-style power-up. So my general philosophy when I play games like this, we've leveled up, so this will improve our stats, but perhaps most importantly, leveling up also puts us in a position where we get full health and mana again, which is extremely important, and well-timed level ups can make the difference between life and death a lot of the time. So we're just, right now, generating a lot of gold, generating as much experience as possible, because the stronger we are, the more likely we're going to be able to beat the boss. But my strategy with this is go down and to the left, because that keeps us kind of like from getting too far into kind of the sprawling parts of the map. So we'll pick up a few items as we go here. We'll pick up the iron key, which actually is extremely important because it opens up a gated kind of mechanism as we get a little bit closer to the end of the demo. But additionally, we're going to pick up things called Rune Shards, and these are kind of like... at least as I understand it right now, they're kind of like pieces of heart in something like a Legend of Zelda, or, you know, like heart containers in Mega Man. Not like E-Tanks or M-Tanks, but the heart containers in like Mega Man X. They'll allow us to eventually get a little bit more max HP, which is pretty important. And there's actually going to be one of those Rune Shards right here. They're always found on these skeletons, I think. So I just don't want to accidentally, good, there's one. I don't want to accidentally blow up that TNT barrel, but I do want this gold in case I go back to the surface. I can always go back there. Oh, we've got some platforming to do here. This is actually good. I went in the exact right direction because we're going to get kind of an introduction to the Metroidvania style stuff going on here. And you might be wondering right now, oh, this isn't a Metroidvania. I don't understand why you're calling everything a Metroidvania these days. This has Metroidvania-y elements. I promise you that. It does have, by the way, not randomized, but, you know, procedurally generated enemy types, but the actual layout of the mines is the same every single time. But the enemies are different. Like that chair-wielding enemy is different than the enemy that was previously at the top of that area when I came through before. Before it was a slime, which is much more annoying to deal with than that chair-wielding enemy. By the way, I don't think you can just farm, like, those crates for, extra HP. I think the game prevents you from cheesing it like that by just making sure that they are completely barren the next time. So we have gained, in case you didn't read the power-up thing there, I guess I'll go to the artifacts menu. We've gained a scroll, and that scroll indicates that we have the ability to slide now. Now, this is something that is not going to be incredibly useful right now, but is essential, as you can see right there, is essential for us to actually get past some gated obstacles later. So there will be obstacles that we actually can't get through just by walking, and there's no crouch walk. We can use it as an offensive weapon as well. It does some damage, but it's kind of a foolish thing to do because you're also going to take damage in the process. So you just want to look at your map and make sure that you're exploring. Oh, that was stupid of me. Make sure that you're exploring absolutely every area here. So yeah, if you watched the earlier Let's Look at of Chasm, and I don't know how many of you did that, I guess it was a reasonably popular video, and it wasn't that long ago, but you're probably noticing some serious changes, and these changes are all very much positive so far. It's still... My main complaint about Chasm when I played it with the non-Magfest demo, the demo last summer, is that it was a little bit repetitive. You walk into a room, you come across the same 2 or 3 enemy types, and then you just crush them and then move on with your day. And that was, like, it was still beautiful back then. The music was still great. Oh, I don't know if I ever came this way before. I do have the lock, or the key, though, so I should open this. And, you know, that was a major complaint, but it was still very much a work in progress. Now that there's a little bit more variety, there's more puzzles that you come across, there's mini-bosses that you run into as well. It feels a lot more like a game as opposed to just a tech demo, if that makes sense. So we did get some kind of pendant there. Onra's necklace, what does this do? +1 defense, +1 intelligence, +1 concentration, and +1 magic attack. Well, we've got nothing else occupying that inventory slot, so we might as well take it. Oh, there's one more room back here that I just want to make sure that I explore. So now that we have the ability to slide, we could technically just go fight the boss, but we should level up at least a few more times before we do it. So it's a little bit more RPG heavy than a lot of games like this. I mean, certainly, like, this doesn't necessarily compare to the Spelunky in gameplay or tone, but, you know, there is an RPG element. You don't have to grind. It almost, a great comparison would actually be like Rogue Legacy. Obviously, it lacks, like, the future generations type stuff from that. Not that that's an objective negative, but you do have to kind of grind your way, well, not grind your way necessarily, but progress towards, you know, getting experience and leveling up in order to make you strong enough to actually take out the enemies. And since I've had my ass kicked by this boss a couple of times, I know what's awaiting me, if that makes sense. I guess we can't grind for items from these crates, but we can grind the enemies for experience, which is a good tactic, potentially, if we need to do it. Not a big fan of grinding, but in games like, you know, Rogue Legacy, it was pretty minor, so... Actually, the Rogue Legacy comparison holds pretty strongly, and the reason I say that is because it's like 50% pattern recognition and 50% stats, at least at the level that I was playing it. Did we go everywhere? Yeah, okay. At least at the level that I was playing it, so... it's got a mixture of both, which is kind of a cool melding, if you will. So let's come down here, and just want to be careful not to walk on spikes by accident. But we also want to be careful to go to every single room. I see a treasure chest here. The more potions and bread and apples and grapes that we can get, the better our life is going to be. There's actually a Rune Shard here as well. Okay, what do we get here? Oh, that's one of the HP Rune Shards. So I think if we get 3 of those, our max HP will go up. And we also got some bananas, and we can use those bananas. Normally, there's like an item pop-up. I think because I'm using fraps, that's causing some weird interaction that doesn't say the name of the item. It's okay, though. Don't worry. I'll guide you through. Now, bats, super annoying. Probably the enemy that deals the most damage to me. Let's go up. And we'll stay up here for now. Because up is the best direction, I think, to go. You know, the good stuff is probably down. So we might as well grind the bejesus out of these guys before we actually go fight the boss. But I think I remember where the boss room is, so we might be able to get there sooner rather than later. And actually, I'm doing a lot better. I think I've put myself in that flow state just by providing commentary. This is like a mini-boss type guy. He's not a mini-boss, really, but he is pretty tricky. He's either going to take, like, all of our mana or an awful lot of our health. Okay, we got very lucky to kill him as quickly as possible. But yeah, I think I put myself in that flow state by just providing commentary where I'm actually able to do half decently, whereas before... Oh, we got another Rune Shard there. I think that Rune Shard will give us maybe higher max mana. That's an important level up right there. I want to go back and talk about this room just for a second, because I'm getting distracted by my play and my commentary right now. But when I was playing off camera, I was getting my shit rocked by enemies over and over and over. I was using, like, all of my healing items. Now I'm being pretty disingenuous to the game. This is the 3rd time I've played through it, and now I'm like, well, I'm actually doing pretty good. I don't need to use any healing items. Don't go out of this video thinking that this game is really, really easy. I have had a devil of a time getting to this point so far. Should point out as well, by the way, that the people at Discord Games have let me know that the demo we're playing right now is just one area of the game. It's the mines, and at 20 minutes, it's actually, like, deliberately cut down from as long as it's going to be in, you know, because it's at a convention. You want to make sure that you can get people in and out and they get a feel for the game without spending, like, an hour there, because that's going to be really annoying from a lineup standpoint. But, yeah, it's deliberately cut down about, like, a third, or it's cut down 2/3. It's cut down to 1/3. of its actual size. So they're expecting maybe that the mines area alone might be the kind of thing that's maybe like an hour long when you actually play it for yourself when the game actually comes out. That's the plan anyway. Alright, so we should be able to make our way up here. You know, I've gushed a little bit. I've been really enjoying my time with the MagFest demo of Chasm. There are some things that I still think need some work. From a music standpoint, it gets a little repetitive to hear the same thing over and over and over. Mind you, this is the third time that I've played through the demo version of the game. So maybe that, you know, repetition is something that's alleviated somewhat. There's got to be a way to, yeah, there we go. Maybe that repetition is alleviated somewhat if you aren't just playing through the same section over and over and over. It's good music, it's just, you know, the kind of thing that's getting, not necessarily grating, but yeah, I've heard it all before. We actually are going to have to use, let's use bananas here. That takes us nearly back to full HP. And apart from that, some of the enemies, and I don't think this is going to change, I think this is a problem with me more so than the actual game, some of the enemies are real heinous. Bats are so goddamn annoying. And, you know, that's a callback maybe to games like Ninja Gaiden or even, you know, Castlevania, as mentioned earlier, where, like, the most seemingly innocuous enemies are actually the most heinous, but, still, they're the ones usually and to blame for me taking as much damage as I do. And you know what? There's probably a pattern that I could use to get around the, weird enemy that I called a mini-boss there. So we have a treasure chest here. This is actually... Yeah, okay, so this is, you get some equipment there. That equipment, unfortunately, is not very useful for us. This is like the equivalent of, like, a mob trap room in The Binding of Isaac, for example. So you come in here, you get a piece of treasure. Oh, please tell me I can kill this guy before he gets close. You get a piece of treasure, and then, this guy with the pickaxe is definitely a mini-boss. There we go. There's the pattern that I needed to use, and I fucked it up again, but still. And this is gated. Maybe this is why it's, you know, 1/3 the length that it is going to be in the actual completed version. But yeah, you get an item, and then you fight enemies. Also, you know, this is a frustration with the genre, not necessarily with this game. But it's got the Mega Man-y type thing going on, where when you leave the screen, enemies respawn, and that's real annoying when you have, like, a really hard time on a screen, and then you move to the other screen and it's just like a dead end, and you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. That being said, that's just endemic of the genre itself, and it's not even a problem, it's just a problem when you suck, which I still kind of do. So, oh, gotta time that a little bit. I know we can get these bats. Oh, I'm out of mana. I know we can't get these bats. I'm gonna level up soon, but I'm still gonna use an apple to take me nearly back to full health. Just, oh, careful. Just because I would like to survive here. And I think we're gonna go top right now. We should be coming fairly close to the boss room. Again, this demo... Oh, shit. Demo's supposed to be about 20 minutes long, and that's about as long as it's been in my experience so far. Okay, and please level up soon so that I don't have to use another healing item, because I am really looking forward to saving a lot of these healing items for the boss fight, if possible, but it appears we have just come across another... Oh, there we go. I'm very lucky to have not been hit by the bat there. We've just come across another treasure chest. Please be a healing item. Hey, more bananas. Okay. I don't think all healing items are created equal. What I will say, though, is that they've largely been pretty similar, god damn it, in my experience so far. You know, not apples to apples comparison, but like bananas and bread, they do similar amounts of healing from what I've seen. Oh, shit. Don't die. This would be the worst. There we go. Okay, so that was the perfect throw, followed by the perfect level up, and I almost fell on the spikes there, which scared the shit out of me. So we will occasionally come across these rooms that lock us in. I think this is actually the path to get a new item that will actually allow us to do more damage, like a new weapon. Oh, that was a terrible drop there. Honestly, I think the demo is set up... I'm gonna have to use another healing item anyway. I think the demo is set up really, really nicely from the standpoint of, like, showing off... This is not the weapon path, but from showing off, like, what you can get in the game. I think it does a really good job of showing off traps. I think it emphasizes the jumping puzzles as much as possible, which is really nice. And you saw, like, the barrel jumping puzzle we had earlier. And the jumping puzzles are pretty tough, in all honesty. I gotta figure out when to jump to make this one work. If I fall... Oh, that was pretty silly in hindsight. Okay, let's use some bread. Don't die. We gotta... Oh, Jesus Christ. We gotta duck under this and then go. That was actually much easier than I was making it out to be. Now, looking at the map, we've explored an awful lot of the floor so far, or of the mine so far. Should be coming close to that boss fight. I've just got to figure out the actual direction that I need to go in. There is another weapon. I am disappointed in my jumping skills right now. I probably should not use another healing item, just in case. Yeah, okay, so getting that potion is actually really useful. Oh, getting both potions is exceptionally useful from the standpoint of letting me live. Oh my god, it's almost as if the developers are watching me right now, and they're like, this guy needs some fucking potions. Hard code them into the game straight away. Alright, so lucky me. Let's come down here and continue exploring just a little bit more. There's another treasure chest here, but there's also another skeleton here, which is great because this means that we are going to get another rune piece. That's the second piece of heart, so what I really am hoping for, I believe the third piece of heart is right before the boss. That's super useful. Hey, that's another greater health potion as well. Oh my god, the game is being far too kind to me right now. Thank you very much. What was I going to say? Oh, I think the last piece of heart is like directly prior to the boss fight, and I believe that means that we get full health out of it. So the exploration can be, I wouldn't necessarily say tedious, but it can take a little while here. Have I already been here? I must have already been here, but instead of going like downwards, we're actually just gonna skirt across here. And I think if we go like all the way to the right and then go up, we should get to the boss room. And I probably should get to the boss room because, you know, I think we've reached the point where I've said my piece on Chasm. But we'll come to the boss fight. I think this is actually where the boss fight is, by the way, because we actually are having to do this like slide under thing here. And now I'm questioning. I'm like, is this actually like procedurally generated dungeons? It may be procedurally generated dungeons. Don't quote me on that, though. This is our boss fight. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. I didn't level up. I'm a much lower level than I actually was. Okay, just get ready to slide out of his path. Oop! I'm a much lower level than I actually was when I fought him the last time. I've never seen him do this move. Okay, what are you going to do? He's going to drop some rocks. Okay, we've all been there. I didn't realize he would do that next part after it. There's an awful lot of memorization that goes on, but there's also a lot of, am I out of mana? Not quite yet. I can't slide through that. There's a lot of memorization, but there's also a lot of, good play, and also the stats that you have do make a difference. Really thought I could slide through that, but I fucked up my slide. Okay, watch out for the fire that he drops. This is actually not going so terribly so far. Oh, shit. Okay. Probably should use the apple again. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That was pretty bad mojo on my part. Here you go. Stand here. I almost did it. Okay, almost dead again, but I think I can just actually tank this guy. Bananas took me pretty close. Now, if I can just get out of this move. Oh my god, I'm sliding like just a second too late. And again, right there. But I think we're still going to be able to do it. I have 2 potions of health. So, you know, it's not just your performance on the boss fight that actually matters. It's your performance leading up to the boss fight. Because the fact that I had at least a decent number of healing items left has at least made this possible. Oh. And this is like a... You know what this game actually reminds me of? And I meant to bring this up earlier. It reminds me a little bit of almost like Aladdin on the SNES and the Genesis in kind of the way that it deals with combat and the boss fights. And in any case, this is Chasm. This demo, a lot better than the demo that came out last summer, both of which I liked, but I like this one a lot, and I think this game's showing a lot of progress. If you feel comfortable with pre-ordering, you can go to chasmgame.com, and I think that link just actually flashed on the screen when I beat the demo. That's up to you, but what I will say is keep a close eye on Chasm from Discord Games, hopefully coming out summer of 2014, shaping up very nicely so far, and I'm looking to see how this game actually looks when it's complete. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you did, check the link in the video description below for a link to the game's website. As well, it would be really appreciated if you would like the video if you enjoyed it. It does help out a great deal, and your support means the world to me. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more first impressions like this in the future. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.